All right. So 7 Dark 30. Captain is IPA. I know your name's been around for a little while. Looking at your team, you have 5 seasons, right? That you've played?
You're looking at the data. You're probably right. I would have guessed four, so
Okay, so
it's definitely
looking
possible to
yeah,
be
yeah,
five.
looking at your profile, I see 5 seasons starting at 35, like season 35. Um as far as for you personally, I don't know if it's the same team, but your esports profile says 8012 season 35. So I'm guessing 5. Were you the captain for all 5 of those, or four if you remember four?
Yeah, I've been the captain every season.
You've been the captain. Very cool. So you came into 8012. How'd you come into 8012 then?
So, you want the long version or the short version?
Give me whatever version is the one you prefer. I don't mind either or.
Um, so I used to play Dota 1 at competitive level, like very high level, and then switched to Heroes of Earth back in the day, and was probably I would say like top 100 NA in Heroes of Earth. This is back when I was in like college and stuff. And then I had to kind of make the choice of like, do I want to pursue professional gaming and Heroes of New Earth and switch to Dota 2 because Han became a dead game, or finish my degree? And I chose to finish my degree because back then, like the prize pools were pretty small, and like honestly, being top 100 just isn't good enough. So um, I basically took a 10-year break from Dota.
Oh
Had never
wow.
really played any of it. I moved on, like graduated with my degree, got a job, uh, had like a lot less time. And Dota is one of those games where like it could be like an hour and 30 minutes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and especially if you're dating or married, like you got to have buy-in from the spouse that you're gonna be just gone for an hour and a half and you don't know,
Yeah.
and that can be kind of hard. So um, and there were some other reasons that I didn't play for a while, and so we were just kind of reminiscing with myself and some of our old Dota 1 friends about what it was like. So we picked it up with a friend who was playing, and yeah, just started playing again, and I ranked into Guardian 5 when I came back, which was really frustrating to be so bad.
I can
Um,
imagine.
And so it's like anything. You get frustrated with low level pubs. You're playing with your friends and party queue, you skin some invoker smurf in Crusader, and you're like, yeah, this is not a real thing. And so I just kind of was looking for people to queue ranked with, just like get away from the solo queue pub style. And I actually ran into someone named Rada who was working in LD2L, the like Learn Dota 2 league.
Oh, I know that guy. He's actually on a Explorer team this season.
Yeah, so I posted on Reddit like, "Hey, I just want to like play organized Dota because this pub shit is garbage." And he said like, "Hey, you should check this out." It was very nice. Like, kind of led me to LD2L, MD2L. So like, I posted there, and because I'd been back for a long time, I didn't have very many games on my account. So MD2L actually said like, "You're not allowed to play here because you look like a Smurf." Um, and so then found through Discord 82L, um, and I had to tell the admins kind of like my entire life story because they also were not going to allow me to play because
Yeah,
I
that
only had
feels
like
about right.
500 games, um, which was fine. Like Gambit, Sub, Dops, like they're all very cool people, so it like worked out fine. Um, and so then I was back in the league, and I just posted by myself in free agents. I was like, "Hey, looking for team." And if you know Fatality on our team, he had also like randomly posted for a team. This is back when I was like Archon 1 or whatever. And uh, some third person posted for a team. And I think someone suggested, like, hey, the three of you are all a similar rank. You're all looking for a team. Why don't you just make a team? And like, I hadn't done amateur leagues and I hadn't played Dota 2 in a while. So I was like, I don't really want a captain, right? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of here to play some Dota. Um, But I asked some of my old friends, like, dude said it, we'd played Dota 1 together. I said, like, would you guys be interested in trying this? Just like giving it a shot. And that's kind of where it birthed. Um, the team is so picked up Fatality, like we were both free agents, and then Jix and Cloud I've both known for over 20 years at this point. I think we go back to like high school, like playing Dota 1 in high school together.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so I just kind of hit them up. They were in the rank range for Challenger. I said like, hey, let's go. Jix brought in Shubidu, who's just like a good player he met in a pub, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were rocking and rolling for multiple seasons, except for that one season where Jix and Shubi both took a break after we won grand finals. Um,
Gotcha.
and so then we picked up Core and Amir for AZ. Um, and like that was a really good team. I think we underachieved that season for sure. Um, but like it was fun playing with those guys, switching it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's yeah, quite the story for sure.
Must have been the
Um,
long version. If that was the short version, that would have been really bad.
yeah, I mean, maybe that took you 4 minutes. Quite the story though. I like it because looking back, in regards to you, like as a player, not a captain, as a player though, I'm looking back at your very first season that you played when you said you got the players that you grabbed, Cloud and Jixie and all. You started out as a mid laner. I'm looking at your games. You started out as a mid laner for the first 4 weeks of your very first season in AD2L. And then for the next 4 weeks, you played offlane. How did that like transpire back then? Or do you remember?
Yeah, so um, when we formed the team, I think we kind of knew that Jix, Cloud, and I were going to be core players. And Jix was, it's not a secret he was an Axe and Leshrac spammer. So most of his games he played in the offlane, so that made sense. And then um, I had always enjoyed mid, um, and so it just kind of worked out that way. Halfway through the season, I don't know if it was a chemistry thing, but I am very open to being flexible on my position for the betterment of the team. So I think at some point, like, and Jix is like a very mechanically talented player. His knowledge of Dota is like shockingly low. Like today, we've been playing multiple seasons together. Today in the lobby, he goes, "What is a ticket? Why are you asking them to add the ticket to the game? Like this is." And so I told him, like, I take that as a compliment. I'm captaining so well. You're like completely oblivious to the requirements. Um, but his mechanical skill, I think, best works at mid. But I think with the way this game patches and changes compared to how it used to be back in my day, um, the mid matchups are pretty dynamic compared to what it used to be. And I think um, that can be a struggle sometimes for someone who doesn't. He's not really a student of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked at trying to use the draft and our flexibility as a way for us to get positive matchups in games, since like I felt comfortable playing multiple roles.
Gotcha. Okay. And I see that you guys are still doing that today. 5 seasons later, you're still flexing roles around. You've played, what, 3 different roles now on this season?
I think I played all 5 roles
You've played
almost.
all 5.
Pretty sure.
Wow. That is. I mean, I
Um,
can't even play 3 roles, so.
Honestly, like it's kind of crazy how much better playing the other roles makes you. Like, playing 5 makes you such a better one, and
Yeah,
vice
yeah.
versa.
Oh, yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
and I also do it because I enjoy it. So, like, I get bored. Like, if you look at my like heroes played, it's so weird because I just never play the same hero twice. It bores me. So I have to just play all the heroes.
Yeah, no, that's. Your most played hero is only 36 games, but your top, like, 10 are all between 30 and 25, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like it. I like it. So going into this season, I this is a little bit of a personal question as a captain. Going into this season, I wanted to ask you, how did you grab your roster? Like I know you said Cloud and who was it, Jixie were your friends for a while. I saw they were on your team your first season. But you did swap out one of your players, so I wanted to know kind of like how you make your roster and how you've been able to also just keep a steady roster of the same few players because a lot of teams don't do that. I know I've done 2 interviews so far, and one team, Helmets On, they've had all 5 together for literally 3.5 years, and then Savage has had only the same 3, and they've had 2 different players every single season but one. So a lot of teams don't keep the same people. I just want to know how you've been able to do that and how you grab your roster for new people.
So we don't have. There's no new person this season.
Oh, there
Um,
isn't?
Technically, there's 2 new people from the previous season because the previous season is when we had Core and AZ, and so we swapped them for Jix and Shuby because Jix and Shuby took a break in between seasons,
Oh, okay.
if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, this has been the same 5 for every season except for the one season Core and Amir were in the stack. And what I told Jix and Shuby, because they were on our stack for the original 2 seasons, I said, like, hey, you guys want to take a break? That's fine. If you want a spot, like if you want to play again, let me know. You can always have your spot back,
Hmm.
with the intention of it, like, it was a friend stack first. It just turned out that we did well, like when we first entered the league. Um, and so, the truth is like, I really enjoyed playing with Core and Amir. And I think it definitely is an argument to be made that we were a better team with that stack than we are with this version of the stack. We're certainly a different team because those guys bring some different things. But it's just a friend stack, trying to have a good time, but also being competitive because
Yeah,
winning
for sure,
makes it
for
more
sure.
fun.
For sure. Okay. So I was a little bit wrong on that, but I like the info. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm looking at the stats, and you guys have over 70 games, the 5 of you, over several seasons. So that's that's awesome. As a captain point of view, you're gonna find this. You might not find this interesting. You know who you are. But of the other 2 interviews I've done of other teams, I asked them at the end of any captains in 8012 that maybe they think are very good captains, like maybe rivals or whatever, or people that maybe they model after, and then also a pro player that they model after. Both of the other interviews I've done on their 8012 captain, they chose Mr. IPA. And so, not to like stroke your ego or anything, but what I want to ask you is, as a captain, how do you do your preparation, like week to week? And how have you kind of like built this name for yourself as one of the best captains in 8012?
Uh, well, obviously the league is delusional, but I'll take it anyway. And the reality is my prep has changed over time. This season in particular, I've had a really busy personal life, and so the amount of time I'm able to dedicate to 82L has changed drastically. The first 2 seasons, I was not only captaining but producing content. Um, and most importantly, I was watching every game in the league. I would literally go into the replays and I would watch every game on 8 times or 16 times speed. And so I was getting to the point where I was starting to understand teams, like, patterns of their map movements, warding, where they would go. Like, all right, here's a tip for the people. Most teams do the same fucking thing at 0 minutes every time.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like very easy to just like watch the replays and be like, oh, here's what this person does or this team does. And I used to like actually scout those patterns, in addition to like hero picks, obviously. And so, um, what I would like to do is use my teammates to help prep. And a lot of times that would be mock drafting. So I would scout the other team and then mock draft as the other team, asking one of my teammates to mock draft for us because they know all of our players really well.
Hmm.
Um, and so that would usually be the way we would prep, is try to have an idea in mind, like going into the draft. If they pick this, what do we want our answer to be? What do we want first phase picks and bans to be? Like that's the floor, right? Every captain should have the first phase figured out going in. Some type of template for what it's going to be. I'm going to ban this. They're going to ban this. If this is available, we pick it. If they pick this, this is our counter pick for it.
Yeah. Having I
Mostly
think
just go
definitely I think definitely having a set plan for like pick to pick basis helps a ton because you're cutting down on so much like unnecessary chatter. You know what I mean, like during picks of they pick this, what do we want, and then you have to wait 20 seconds for different players to say different things, and it just cuts down on a lot of that. You are actually the first person that has said they do mock drafts. The other 2, I actually asked specifically on the other 2 interviews if the captains did mock drafts because I've always been somebody who does mock drafts. I think it's really cool and it helps me a lot. And both of them said they don't do that. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's something. There are other people who do that, which is cool. I think it helps. It helps me a lot in terms of drafting, having a picture in my head of what I'm getting into for the game. Um, so regarding
Yeah.
your team as a whole, I want to ask you because no team is perfect. No team is perfect at all, and everybody has those nights where maybe they get O2'd and it's maybe one or two games are stompy and things didn't go well. If you have a night where say a couple players maybe get into it with each other, or maybe the team didn't agree on item choices or hero choices or whatever, what are some you don't have to give details, but what are some struggles that your team has had either this season or previous seasons? Maybe some heated moments, and how did you like rectify that?
Well, this happens every single game. So,
Oh my lord.
um, the irony of knowing Jix and Cloud for 20 years is you would think like, oh shit, like these guys have known each other forever. But the reality is their Dota like philosophies are antithetical to each other, and it it has created problems for us because there'll be some times where one of them makes a game breaking decision to do something the other person doesn't agree with, and then boom, there's disagreement, right?
Hmm.
The other thing that we've struggled with sometimes is like having a dedicated shot caller. Um, Partially because if I'm playing core, I really want my supports to be doing the macro shot calling. Um, and I think Shubi and Fatality would be really good at that, except that Shubi is quiet sometimes, and that can make it like really hard. And sometimes we're also just terrible listeners. It's a combination of like quiet and
Yeah.
people don't listen. That's one thing I've really enjoyed about Fatality is his willingness to speak up from a macro sense. Like, where should we be playing? What jungle should we be in? When is it time to smoke and make an attack? And then I really like when Cloud will step up later in the game for shot calling, and that works out really well for us. But I'd say like dealing with strife and stuff is when you have a friend stack, like I just try to remember like at the end of the day, like we're just here to have a good time. And so I just don't engage in the arguments. I usually just give my take on it, say like, hey, this, and this, and then I just move on to the next thing. And like don't let people dwell on it.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, hey, you heard it here first, boys. Don't dwell on it. I know, I know some teams play pubs together to try and take their anger out in a pub, and other teams can't do that because they'll tilt more. So every team has different things that they either do or can't do. Um,
Oh, we've had it where we lost an 82L match and then pubbed as five because we lost quickly or something. And then
yeah.
we lost the pub and then somebody breaks off and just solo queues without saying a word.
Oh
This
yeah.
does happen,
Yeah.
This part of
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've definitely been there myself. So on the flip side of that aspect of it, I want to ask, being together and like you said, knowing each other for 20 years also has its ups. What are some things that you think maybe your team has, or that you have as a captain with knowing your players so well that maybe other teams don't have? Teams that form willy nilly each season.
huh. I don't know. I mean, I would say, um, at least as a drafter, like when you play with the same people over and over again, you already know what the comfort heroes are. I don't even have draft sheets for my players, so I just kind of know what they can play and what they
Yeah.
can do. And so,
Oh my god, that must be so nice, dude.
right, well, it's easy when one of your players only plays like three heroes. Yeah, so that really makes that one easy. Um, and then the only thing that makes it a little tricky is like when we roll swap, I have to try to remember what heroes they play in their off roles or different roles, and then that can get a little tricky. But I'm a big fan of also asking people like, what do you want to play? Like you're the expert in this role. Like what is the hero that you feel is good in this matchup and you're comfortable on? Because at the end of the day, like making people play heroes they're uncomfortable on just because you think it's the right draft decision is usually a mistake, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely say that I wish I had that. I have players on my team. Like even tonight, actually, in our series, I asked, like, "Do you play Oracle?" And the guy's like, "I have two games on it, so no." And it's like, "Okay, do you play this hero?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, this is gonna be difficult." And so it's definitely an issue when you don't know somebody's hero pool, and I have to go look at my Discord sheets for them. It can definitely be problematic. Um, do you have anything that you want to say? Because before I get to this next question, I want to just make sure you don't have anything you want to put out there for your team first. Because this next question might get a little interesting.
Uh, no, I'm good. I mean, it's been a long. I've talked a lot already, so
No, you're good. You're good.
let's dive into it.
That's why we're here. So, this is regarding more so this season, right? I'm going to put this little aspect into it. So this season in particular, your team is currently 7th place. I mean, the last series has not been finalized, but either way, you're 6th place. So your lower bracket. Are there any teams going into lower bracket that you are, say, like afraid of, or any teams that you are looking out for in particular being in lower bracket this season?
Well, we don't know who's in lower bracket yet, right? So it's kind
Well,
of
we
tough to
know
answer.
2. We know 3 of them. We know 3, don't we?
No, because 8 is probably. Oh no, we already have 4 teams with 9 wins.
Yeah.
So okay, so it's basically go play off lane.
No.
Or
Go play offlane and bubble team are the teams that are playing right now. But go play offlane is one. It's a 1-1 series basically because they've already played one and the other one's almost over. It's a 1-1.
So all right, so we don't know lower bracket because there's going to be tiebreakers for upper bracket. So there's only 3 teams we know for sure, which is Savage, 7 Dark 30, and Bubble Team are guaranteed in lower bracket, and then there's going to be potentially a 4-way tiebreaker if Go Play Offlane wins the second game, which would be nuts.
That would be crazy.
So I'm basically picking from the whole league.
Basically.
And your question is, who am I scared of?
It's more so who do you not want to face week 1? Who is the team that you think gives you the most issues? It could be an upper bracket team too that you don't have to play. But what I want to know is, in your opinion, what team gives you the most issues and struggles that you don't want to play?
I think, no cap, I think we're the worst team in the playoffs this season. You know, I know we
Really
haven't had a lot of time. Yeah, I mean, we've scrimmed like twice all season. Like Chicks isn't even playing Dota anymore. We played 1 game in the last 2 weeks. We won't play together at all, and I don't really have time to prep. So we started off really hot this season. I really felt like we were one of the strongest teams for the first like 3 weeks, and it's kind of gone off a cliff since then. So to answer your question, I would say I think we are a dog, to use a Conqueror term, against all 7 other teams. I think would not be the favorite.
okay. I mean it's humble. It's a humble take.
Dude, I would tell you if I thought otherwise. I promise you.
Oh, I remember week 3 when you were saying some stuff on week 3 content. So I know you would. I know you would definitely say something.
Here, I'll tell you the team I think we have the best chance of beating, which we might see in lower bracket. I think it's probably Bubble Team actually. I was gonna maybe say Savage Spirits because that was probably our easiest series of the season. But with Battle God, I think they're a very different team. I think they got their mojo back. So I think those are the 2 teams we have the best chance against.
Okay. Very cool. So I'm gonna ask you one question. Just this is from me as an interviewer, because I'm kind of biased on this one. At the beginning of the season,
wait, hold
what?
On. Who were all the other questions from this last 30 minutes?
That was the other guy. Yeah.
The other guy.
Okay. Yeah, the other guy. So, as a free agent at the start of this season, I'm gonna leak a little bit here. Cloud mentioned getting me on the team, and you vetoed this. Why was that? You can say it was just because it's a friend stack. I'm cool with that.
I mean, that was the first point of it.
Okay.
It's like, I was trying to reform the team because I thought that was the plan.
Mm-hmm.
The second reason would probably be waiting, potentially. I don't remember what you actually waited because you were adjusted up at the beginning of the season, right?
I was weighted at Ancient 4.
And the third reason is I always hated you.
Oh my god.
When I listened to... Alright, here's the 2 reasons. 1, you stream on Kick, so that already makes me not like you. 2, and this is the real reason, is when we played you, when you were on Damage, I listened to that Kick stream, and you talked so much shit about us. The whole stream was just you talking shit about us. And I listened to that. I was sitting there with my blood boiling, like, this guy is a dick. I do not like this Hexa guy. I hope we get a chance to beat him.
It's time.
I respect that. Because, yeah, I think my comms have gotten a little better. It's not just me sitting there flaming, but I would definitely say that I still do that quite a bit. I don't know. It's
and
it's
real
an
talk.
ego thing for mid lane. You know, like I sit there and I say this is mid lane shit, and it kind of like boosts my ego, which tries to help me play better. And I do that the entire game. That's definitely one thing I should work on.
No, it is a mid lane thing. So I just played this pub where I last picked mid primal, and the dude last picked mid dazzle. And I was like, this guy's trash, cringe hero. Like,
Yeah.
if he had any skill, he wouldn't be playing this matchup, right? So I get it. But the other thing too is like what I heard in the comms was like not something I wanted in the comms on my team.
I got you.
So that was the reason.
Okay, that is a
Like
perfectly fair reason.
we're very quiet, very chill comms most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Except for like when I'm having a bad game, then I get really like emo. It's probably really annoying for my team.
Okay, now that makes sense because I'm quite the opposite actually. When I mean during laning phase I don't say a word, but after like 15 minutes I am very vocal and loud, and that makes a lot of sense. So to close out this interview here, I do want to ask you the same thing I've asked everybody else of maybe one player in AD2L that you respect or appreciate, whether it's on a skill level or somebody. Doesn't have to be higher MMR, lower MMR, just somebody in AD2L that you respect, and then maybe a pro player that you've always, it doesn't matter if it's now or previously, that you've always aspired to be like or enjoyed watching or was a role model.
Um, can I answer the entire helmets on team?
Sure. Yeah, man.
They're the friend stack I aspire to be one day.
I mean, I think a lot of people do. Yeah, they've been together for 3.5 years, all five. They have not had one single season like with one player off, that's insane to me. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I actually stood in for them one time, and it was a really good experience. So, um, however they do their mojo, I respect that a lot.
Okay.
And then what was the second part?
A pro player that either current or previous that you have admired and maybe is like a role model in the Dota scene for you, or it could just be somebody that
Um,
you think is a fucking god. You know what I mean? Like,
all right, I'm gonna give you the opposite answer, and that is a pro player that I two pro players that I despise or
okay.
despised, and that's Moon Meander and Isle, who was Swindle Melons,
Mm-hmm.
if you remember, played for Complexity.
I do.
They were both total dicks to me, and back when I was playing in like the higher leagues and shit like that is and there was one game we played in a tournament against Moon Meander's team, and I misclicked a ban. And I asked them in chat, I said, bro, I misclicked that. Can we ban this other hero? And they denied it. And then they picked the hero I meant to ban. That shit pissed me off forever.
Well, I mean that's fair enough. Yeah, I can accept that as an answer. So I do want to say thank you. By the way, it has been a struggle getting everybody. I had a few people that were like, "Yeah, I'm down for an interview," and it's super easy. And I have other people that don't respond for an entire day, and then when they do respond, it's like, "Oh, I'm free next week," and then that's like the end of the discussion. They don't give me any other info. So thank you, IPA. I appreciate you so much, dude.
Yeah, you ready for the reverse interview? Do you need to like restart the stream so it's separated?